Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have our cameraman lead us today.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adjustments to the agenda. Review and approve board minutes for February 4th, 2019.
Look over your shoulder, Rick. There's a question in it, Lisa. Oh, I mean, maybe it's nothing, but, about the 8th grade fundraiser, we approved the fundraising activity, and the motion says we authorize the board chair to sign the approval. I signed it because I was leading the meeting.
Yep.
Does that make a difference?
No, because you were acting as board chair that meeting.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the board minutes for February 4th, 2019.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Communications and public comments?
I'm just here to listen.
You should look at all eyes.
So,
Yeah.
policies, reports, we're gonna skip right over unfinished business for discussion or action.
The only thing I have that, and I just want to make the board aware of, is that we received the Razo McLaughlin Farm to School Child Nutrition Grant, the amount of $15,000, the Bellows Falls Middle School.
Wow.
And so it was presented on February 6, 2019, and the money we used to buy a new oven at the middle school. So
Wow,
there it is there.
that's great.
And that's we had the oven failed, right? And was it, didn't some big ticket item in the kitchen fail?
Well, it was on its way.
Yeah.
You know, to the point where it's gonna be unsafe. So,
Yeah.
he's gonna pay for it. So,
If that's enough to cover the complete oven, that's awesome.
yep. So
Who put that grant together?
that was put together by Harley.
Oh, really?
Yep. Harley and I believe Lynn. Harley and Lynn, they worked on that. So,
Great.
Thanks to both of them.
and they went up to the state on that day, and they was awarded that at the State House.
That's
So
really good.
some pictures, I believe, we put some pictures on the website so you can see them getting their award. But it was huge. They only awarded. I mean, it's a very competitive grant, and we got it. So I want to thank them both.
Yeah. Make sure you put that in the notes, Josh, that we all thank Harley and Lynn for that grant. Okay, new business for discussion action, which is sort of kind of old business, but board goals that we've been trying to work on since last July. So I think I found the part that you have, Marco, that you're looking at,
Yeah,
and that is one of the July 19th documents.
so that's older.
So does it start, the Rockingham School Board makes
Yeah.
safety a high priority, will actively analyze, and then Chris Gibby added that he has some concerns about wording. So that's where we started, and then this is what we worked our way down to.
Clean that.
Yeah. So what you have is from July 19th, and this is from October
Okay.
22nd. don't remember where we left from this, if we were gonna try to cut it more, or if we were gonna keep these 4 things with the bullet points underneath them. Because it's been that long since we've worked on this.
So my memory, I guess what my memory was, because even by October, we had forgotten a lot of what we were doing.
Uh-huh.
I have a feeling this is what Karen provided us. And because there's a lot of value statements in here, and I remember a discussion about saying that we wanted goals and not values.
The measurable goals.
Yeah, or things that could have, actions. Like being an inclusive community is a value, and it's an important value. And I guess it could be a goal if we had actionable steps under it, but whereas like the top, and I remember the discussion that we wanted to whittle it down to just a few because we wanted things that we were gonna work on.
Right, that's my memory too.
Which is why when I looked back and I saw this top part from the July, I was like, oh, maybe this is what we had whittled it down to.
Is it possible to print out the July
We can do anything.
or put it up on the, because we all have this in front of us.
And these look a lot like philosophy and,
Yeah.
I mean, goals, I would say you would want them measurable. How you gonna measure that we're meeting the goals?
Yeah, I
These
think,
like philosophy statements and what we're,
right, I think you're right, because I just pulled up there's 2 documents in the July 19th, and one is the same as this,
Yeah.
and one is what you have.
I think this is what Karen gave us.
Well, can you,
This is going on fuzzy memory. So. But that's kind of what I remember from those meetings.
printed out if you send it, share.
just share it with you. And if we can finish these up, the next board can revise them in 4 weeks.
Should we just look at each one? How do we go about this?
Well, I'm waiting to get, unless is there more than,
The top part is the
I think this is
The
what we whittled it
goals.
down to.
yeah. The bottom were
And
like
then there's
the
some notes below that of the
Okay.
discussion that we had
okay,
around them.
I like Chris Kitty's, suggestion for the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, would you like a copy?
Thank you.
There you go. At least you
Sorry.
thought about it.
Right. That was a little bit slow thinking on my part, though.
It's Monday.
Who is Anonymous Buffalo?
What? Where are you reading that?
On the document.
It's probably
Not me.
you. You're not an anonymous buffalo?
Nope, that's not me.
It's not showing up on yours, is it? You know, it shows like someone else, how it shows when
Yeah.
someone else is looking at it. It says Anonymous Buffalo.
Only one I see looking at it is you.
Oh, so yeah, so you're anonymous buffalo.
No, because he usually shows up as Chris Pratt.
But
But
you're
it's-
not seeing him. You don't see
No.
Chris Pratt, and he's in it.
I'm not. How would I be anonymous?
It's when your
Anonymous
computer
buffalo.
doesn't recognize.
Is that just like a default name
It's
that they
yeah,
go to?
so they come up with these like.
That's not very nice. I don't like being called Buffalo.
they come up with these really weird.
But
like,
I'm logged into my WNESU drive, it auto recognizes.
Gmail does this a lot. I'll have like 5 people on a Gmail document, and they're all like weird names.
Huh. I guess it's me, Rick.
I guess it's you.
So are the categories, I'm just throwing this out there, for our policies,
Our policies, goals.
goals, are the categories, is it fair to say, academics, budget, community involvement, and safety in Act 46?
That's kind of where yes, I think I don't think we stated that specifically, that's what we were doing, but that's kind of,
And we're missing an academic one.
we're missing an academic one.
Mhm.
Which one?
Well, it's missing. We don't have one.
Well, the safety one is close, if the safety one,
I thought that,
the Rockingham School Board will support initiatives to ensure school safety.
that's
Well,
the
so
safety.
the goal, right, would be that, I mean, technically, right, the goal would be, all students should, this is not it, but like all students should feel safe in the schools, right? And then your strategy would be,
Discipline initiative.
like there's something to support that goal, right? So for example, I skipped over the first one because I couldn't think of how to word them.
Uh-huh.
But the second one, the Rockingham School Board will make effective decisions concerning our children's public education by understanding the needs, issues, and desires of our communities. And then under that, should be, this Rockingham School Board will seek out ways to improve community input and participation in our processes and decisions. Because that's like a strategy to accomplish that other one. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So in some ways, the goals should be set up like that, where it's, we have this broad goal, and then we have this more specific strategy to accomplish the goal.
It's kind of like how we would do the SIP process. I was just going through it. For instance, these is looking at the goals for different
Yeah.
SIPs. This is an example. Goal is what do you want to accomplish?
Continuously improve student achievement.
Right.
And then the things underneath it, maintain supervision and evaluation system, determine professional development needs. So that's why those two were easy for me because they were set up as goal and strategy.
Yeah.
Which two are you talking about?
So number 2, the second dot,
Mhm.
and the fourth dot.
We could just say 1, 2, 3, 4.
I actually don't like second dot, fourth dot. Because, right, it's about making effective decisions, partly on desires of our community. So our strategy is to seek out community input.
So 4 is not a goal.
Right, it's more of a strategy. Anyway, that
So
was
the
just-
first, so we have a goal as, the first goal is number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that, in my head, that makes sense.
Which, mm,
No, not wrong sheet. Go back to the other one,
this
yeah.
one here.
Go down to the second dot,
Dot, dot.
This one here.
yeah. And then the fourth dot is basically is like a sub of that one. Or maybe not.
School will make effective decisions concerning our children's public education, understand the needs, issues, desires of communities. So you're saying that would be your first goal?
Or, yeah, it's
Yeah.
one
The
of the
second goal.
goals.
Well, let's start with
Okay.
number 1, because that's where we're.
Don't delete that one yet, though.
No, I'm highlighting it so we know that's, I mean, the Rockingham School Board will make safety a high priority. Will actively analyze and improve our safety for students and employees. So, question is how?
Right.
How is the board going to make safety a high priority, and how are we gonna analyze improvement?
Right. And I think Chris Kibbe's wording change was important.
Yes, because we're not gonna analyze it. This is where we
So-
can, this is where we can get
I would
deep
say
into the
get-
weeds though, with the difference between mission, goals, and strategy. It's where I was kind of, so, anyways, it's,
Couldn't she just say the Rockingham School Board will make safety a high priority? And just, and then just leave it at that, and then underneath, you know, how would you
Well, how would you do it?
do
Well,
it?
then we would support initiatives to ensure school safety.
So, I mean, to me, I mean, yes, that those things work in my mind, and this is why I've struggled with this process the whole time. You know, it's like, why are we doing this?
Right.
for the state.
We
Are
are.
we?
Yeah, somewhere in here it talks about how the state wants a continual improvement plan, and this is part of developing our continual improvement plan.
You mean the SIP?
The SIP, so if we have, you know, the SIPs, so we have the SIPs right here.
Right.
And in there, these are the categories that we have: academic proficiencies, priority communication, safe and healthy schools, and academic proficiency. So those are the different areas that are SIP. So if you go to safe and healthy schools, that would go directly back to what we were talking
So-
about here.
We should use the same 4 categories.
I agree.
And we need to think about what can the board do? Like, we don't want to be so general that we're like, we want safe students.
Right.
Of course we do. What are we going to do? What is our actionable item that we want to focus on for the coming year? That's what this should be about, in my mind. Not so general that we're like, oh, that's nice, and then never look at it.
Yeah, you could approach it how the board is going to support, you know, kind of have the SIP be the overall arching document,
Yeah.
and how, you know, we know as principals and administrators how we're going to go through and
Right.
make sure that we're meeting the goals of the SIP. But
What's
how can the
board
board
gonna
do to support that?
Exactly.
For instance, if you look at safe and healthy schools, in the SIPs, we're going to do a lot in regards to trauma-informed instruction, professional development for our teachers, which, you know, does support the safe and healthy schools. So, I mean, that would probably be the easiest way, so you guys aren't reinventing the wheel.
Right, so that, to me, that comes back around to the first bullet point that we have, where that, you know, we're gonna make safety a, you know, we're gonna make safety a high priority, and support the administratives. I would throw in support the administration's initiatives to ensure school safety.
Yeah, I mean,
What is the order of the,
it's good, right? And
Yeah.
it's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
I like the order of
But what
the,
else are we doing? that's my,
I like the order of the SIP, which is academic proficiency goal.
Personalized learning,
Right.
priorities in communication, and safe and healthy
Yeah,
schools.
I like that order. I can't, other than wanting our schools to be safe, I would have to defer to people who are in the building.
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of these things we have to defer to people in the building.
As far as concrete, what can we do? The one we probably have most control over is communicating with the public.
And to try and stay on focus, I don't know that we need to decide or define what we're going to do tonight. What we've been trying to do is just get the goals written. If we can get our goals written, then we can, then having a discussion of like, okay, now how do we do this? This, we set this as our goal.
right.
How are we gonna do it? But we haven't even set like what the goals are yet.
So you could work off as these are your 4 goals, and then all you pretty much do is a base on academic proficiencies and goals. You could look at that one and say, okay, how as an administration are we going about doing this? And I think in here we talk a little bit about everything from professional development is very important. So board will support additional initiatives and supporting growing the professional development within the schools. So this is some of the
Professional development is a big part of that.
I feel that would be one thing that the board could support, support the SU and its professional development initiatives, because we continue to, time is something teachers don't have, and how can we do that? And let's do as much as we can to provide professional development opportunities right here in the SU. So, because if you look at all the stuff that's in our SIP, everything that's there, we're gonna have to find professional development for them. And it'd be more cost effective to find a way to do it within the SU than it would be sending someone up to Burlington and pay for mileage and pay for hotel and there for
We-
2 days
we-
and stuff.
We often do that. We found that it's almost as cost effective for us to hire a trainer to come in for the day and work with 6 or 8 people than it is to send 1 or 2 people. Like you said, by the time you pay for mileage and hotels and.
So our goal would be, what's the category here?
This goal here is academic proficiencies. And I mean, they all kind of go hand in hand, academic proficiencies and personalization. All this here, it's so much of it is like, as administrators, we focus on the classroom, but I look at how do we
Yeah.
also support teachers with all this change going on. And so often we feel that it's kind of like if we don't do something to support the teachers in the professional development, it's almost, I feel like a superintendent that I'm giving, everything that comes down the pike and I'm not supporting them, I'm giving them unfunded mandates, so it's trying to find a way to support them with all this changes going on and provide them the professional development that's needed because, obviously, academic proficiencies, it gets very specific in what we're doing as teachers and administrators. Focus on reading, writing, math, mastery, and then let's get down here. I think the root cause analysis kind of gives you a better idea of supplementary support is a keyword, interventions, another keyword, develop in-house specialists, formative assessment. And this is definitely all stuff we've been working on this year. We're looking at formative assessment, like do we go to a single reading program and writing program?
Do all the schools now have different reading and writing programs?
Yeah, it's pretty, there are some schools that have the same ones, but not all across the board. And that's something we've really been talking about a lot
Are
at
there
our
really strong
administrative team meetings.
differences of opinion?
Not really, it's just, what it really comes down to is that there are some good things going on in schools, although they're not similar. They're similar, but they're not the same programs. Is that we don't want to take away the autonomy of each school and say we're all going to one thing. So we're trying to figure out what the best way we can do that, because just because we all want something in common doesn't necessarily mean we have to abandon what we're doing.
Right.
So we're trying to look at maybe finding a reading program or writing program that's just another tool that teachers can use and schools can use, not just the one, we do this and
I
nothing
think
else.
I like that approach a lot. As a parent who had children go through the schools, I found when my daughters went from the elementary school this was a long time ago, was I think the strength of the teacher there was incredible, and the learning in the reading and writing program, there's a lot of flexibility, but I think all the students learned, and when they moved up to the middle school, it was a canned program that was very rigid. I don't know if it's still used, and I found it incredibly frustrating as a parent of someone who my kids were already really reading and writing at a different level, and I felt like they were regressing because they were using a canned formula. So I like the idea that
And
it's
that's
a
what I've been
tool for
talking
people
about.
who need it.
We want to
Yeah.
I look at it as, in the administrative team looking at, we want to all be using the same tools.
Uh-huh.
How we use the tool, that's up to us. As kids go, hopefully more and more kids, whether they're sent in schools or not, if they go to the middle school, we know that language, we have common language, common practices, and we're not setting them behind in their academics or even their social emotional. They're ready wherever they're going. They're all on the same page, and we're just putting more tools in the toolbox rather than saying we want a one size fits all. And
Lots
so
of tools are good.
So our goals have to be more how we can support these
Yeah, that was
things
a
or,
dumb question, sorry.
yeah.
So our goal, if we're following this, right, is to continuously improve student achievement. That's our first one, right? That's our goal. And then underneath is what the board can do to help support that. Right?
Mhm.
So goal 1 is to continuously.
Continuously improve student achievement
Okay.
by providing outstanding instruction and by effectively meeting student needs in problematic areas.
Well,
I'm not sure
going
I
from
like
your
that.
originals, when we first started, what you were saying, it's not by providing. Our goal is
No.
to continually
Improve.
improve student achievement.
Yeah, I
That's the
agree.
goal.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
So our
That's-
goal is to continuously improve student achievement.
Right.
So
And
that's
then we
one
that-
goal.
That's our goal,
Right.
right?
I like it.
And if we want to say underneath that, that we're going to have,
Right, so
you know, a strategy
what I was
is
hoping we
to-
could do tonight, maybe set the goals, and then we can work on how we're gonna
Yeah,
achieve
yeah,
them.
it's-
Okay.
yeah,
Right, so,
It's something we could be, because we, you know, I
Yeah.
didn't wanna be here all night. I was hoping we were gonna be pretty quick, cut and dry with like what we had, but it's not, it almost
This
sounds
is
like.
why it's taken a year.
Right, it sounds like we're just, you know, we're kind of starting from scratch again because it has been so long, which is
Right.
fine, so does somebody,
you can just take each goal of the SIP and just condense it so you're not the doing it, you're supporting it.
Right.
And then underneath, when you do get to the areas of how, it's like, how are you gonna support?
Right.
Or there's specific things you
Well,
wanna
for
support more than
example,
others.
continuously improve student achievement, right? What can we do? We can support professional development, right? For,
More in-house, you know, activities.
so what did we say? Continuously improve student achievement?
Period.
yes.
So there's our goal 1.
Goal, I don't know if we have to follow the SIP exactly because the personalized learning plan, is that a way to improve student achievement?
That's true.
Again?
You're saying if we don't follow the SIP exactly, I think the second one was about personalized learning plans. But that's a way to improve student achievement. I'm saying we could jump to goal number 2 by going right to the community, communication.
Community communication.
No. Wait till I move
Okay.
the slide. It's the third one, not the second on the SIP. I think the second involved personalized learning plans,
And this
which
would
I'm
be-
saying is a way to improve student achievement. We don't, as a board, need that goal, I don't think.
No, I'm not even sure where you're, where
I'm
you-
not looking at
Oh,
it,
you're not.
yes, yeah. It's not up there right now. Because we'll probably wanna add a budget goal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have some additional things that are
Right.
not just in the SIP.
Right. That's the one I'm thinking that we don't necessarily have to track.
Which one?
The, SIP number 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one that is yet.
This,
It's up there. When you had the at the top of the page, they were listed across at the first page, I think.
Go back on the other form.
Right there,
So personalization goal,
yeah.
But we don't know what their goal is under that.
Yeah, that one.
Can you find where the goal is stated here?
That's the one I'm saying kind of falls under goal number 1 in some ways, our board goal.
So this is about personalized learning
Yeah,
plan.
I think that would be not
Yeah.
one of our goals.
right, and our number one is continuously improve student achievement, where I felt that their number one was more about supporting, staff and teachers.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult for the board to have the personalized.
That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to, that's what I was trying to
And,
articulate.
and I would say, although there are 4 in the SIP, I would say communication and safe and healthy schools, so the board would have a total of 3 goals.
Yeah. Well, we
We're
might
out of
have 4
budget.
because financial. Alright, so what's this one? Go back to the goal.
Can we use our
Yeah, we can
number
use-
4, which basically says, I mean, we can change the wording, but Rockingham School Board,
Well,
Our
You mean
goal-
dot number 4?
yeah, but okay,
our
you can
goal
right, you can change it, Margo, how you,
is,
a goal would be to improve community input, right?
Yeah, I
And
think that's,
participation,
yeah. That's the goal.
yeah.
and you know, I'd say a goal would be to improve community input and engagement.
Yeah, I like
I
that,
like that even better.
yeah.
Okay,
What's the
And we have
next
2 now,
area?
right?
we have 2.
Health and safety.
Safe and healthy schools.
I like the safe and healthy part.
Yeah.
I do too. I do too.
Because in a way that even speaks to like supporting the food service program in my mind, you know, it's
Right,
like,
yeah,
it's
it
about,
does.
it's about more than just like
Mhm.
worried about a school shooter, it's about like, you know,
Right.
are the kids getting good food, or, you know, is the building clean, I mean, all that stuff kind of.
Yeah, and I think one of
Falls
the, if that's a goal for the board, one of the things that you say, how are we gonna support it, could be anything from making sure that as resources in the state continue to diminish, we're trying to be as self-sufficient as possible in regards to we have the right people and programs in the schools to support, you know, kids who are struggling with trauma. You know, that's, you know, keeping them emotionally and physically safe is a huge thing that, you know, we're trying to work on. I think that's
So
what covers
would a
the
goal
school.
be to create a safe and healthy, or to maintain a safe and healthy environment,
Or to have a,
or to have?
I want to use the word create because we do
Yeah.
have.
Maintain.
No, that's why I was,
Yeah.
that's why I
Maintain,
said maintain.
support and grow, or
or can you just say to
Maintain
have
and enhance.
safe and healthy schools environment or something?
I would say right now we're looking at, we have stuff enhance what we already have.
Enhance the safety, health, and the safety and health.
Of our school communities.
Enhance the emotional.
Well,
and-
how about to ensure that we have? Or to
Yeah.
ensure that we have.
Cause that doesn't say we don't, it
Right.
just says,
Ensure that we have
make sure
a
that
safe
we-
and healthy environment for staff and students.
physically and emotionally. And then you cover everything.
do we even need to specify it?
Right, I wouldn't specify it. What you said, I can't remember what you said, but it worked.
And enhance this,
No, the second part, to ensure that we have a
ensure that we have a safe and healthy environment for staff and students.
Perfect. I think, or
Yeah.
close.
Is it ensure or insure?
Go to ENC.
Ensure, isn't it?
Priscilla, you're a teacher,
Insure.
right? What did you teach?
Special ed.
Is that,
Oh,
is
that's-
sure is that the food that you drink? though?
Actually, I taught everything from preschool through graduate school, but at one time.
This is one of those ones that I was
Ensure, like,
My
insure.
My spell check didn't pick it up.
You spelt it right, it's just whether it's used right.
Yeah.
So ensure a safe and healthy environment for all staff and students. Do. Is that good? Margot?
What? Yeah. So I think now we need a financial.
Our bullet that we,
you could say, you know, in each goal, how you're financially gonna support. You know what I'm saying, instead of having one overarching goal about financial, you can
Yeah,
go in
but
and
I
support
think
each, how you're gonna go
the
and support
main-
each goal financially.
The main responsibility of the board is fiscal oversight. Right? That's one of our big things we're supposed to be doing. It seems like,
is the number 3 bullet that we had, does that work or something close to that?
it doesn't sound like the overall goal. It sounds like action was like underneath
Okay.
it.
It could be,
So our goal is to have transparent budgets
That,
that achieve the greatest educational return in relation to dollars expended or something like
yeah, cause that's something you can measure, you can, anything, say, this is how we wanna do it.
that.
And so what do we mean when we say transparent here?
it's very much,
It goes
Well-
back to your goal number 2, having the community involved and participate, whatever.
But our budgets are, yeah.
but I mean, I think is something to strive for under that is a way to explain how the SU budget fits into or impacts the Rockingham budget. To me, that is,
Yeah.
if I wasn't on the SU board,
More and more, that's where our budget is, and we
And
have little
it's just a
control.
line as an assessment.
The Rockingham School Board develop and propose budgets that achieve the greatest educational returns.
Yeah, there you go.
Just get
Just
rid
get
of
rid of
our
it.
transparent and will.
Yeah.
So what
But
was
I
it?
think Kristen's point of having a strategy under that, saying that we want to work on making the SU budget more clearly understood as part of ours.
Yeah, being transparency would be one of the ways you're gonna do that. So, the goal could be the Rockingham School Board will develop and propose budgets that achieve the greatest educational returns in relationship to dollars expended.
Develop and propose budgets,
That
okay.
achieve the greatest educational returns
I agree with you, Kristen, that's a huge piece
in
for
relation
me.
to dollars expended.
Because people can, someone could come to every Rockingham meeting, budget meeting, and still not see what our biggest expenditures are.
Well, yeah, I mean, at town meeting, some of the stuff that have to
Right.
talk about and explain every year is more SU budget related than our own budget related, because that's where
Right.
the big dollars that are spent that aren't, like,
The whole
for us, most of our
special ed.
budget is operating expense.
Right.
And I can remember when I first was sitting on the Rockingham board and was not going to the SU meetings at all, and I remember discussing budgets, and then I remember that it was a year there was like a 2% cap on what we could spend, but the SU didn't have that cap, and they came in and the assessment came in late, and we ended up having to trim stuff from the high school budget. And I'm like, why doesn't the SU have a cap, and they're not a district,
Right.
so.
All right, and so now we have a financial goal. And the only other area that I can think of, maybe there's others, but is how we work with other boards. How we,
Oh, right, the act, that was.
it's
could
not,
add-
but so I think it needs to be bigger than just Act
Right,
46.
yeah.
It needs to be, if we have another goal, then it's about how we,
Collaborate with
So
other
we can-
districts
we
in
can-
the
yeah, we can-
WNESU.
That can be added under communication. That can be a goal to collaborate more, you know.
what was
We
our
could say
communication
the-
goal?
We could say the Rockingham School Board will continue to work with other districts within the WNESU to achieve to further the goals and work is, I'm trying to leave Act 46 out of it, but we had that number 5 originally in our,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a way, right, we wanna keep working and collaborating with these other districts to be able to,
It's just collaborate with other districts in the SU to,
enhance, I had it. As soon as I said enhance, I came up with
enhance
a
the
good one.
opportunities for all children in the district. I mean, to me, that's one of the big things, like, when we talk about the whole Act 46 and all this collaboration, all of our kids end up at the high school someday.
Exactly.
And so we want, part of the end game here is all kids that end up at Bellows Falls Union High School end up there with as
Right,
much,
right.
with as much, preparedness, or, I don't know.
Okay, so you remember what you said?
I don't remember what I had for
do you
lunch.
remember what was in your head,
Are you
Barbara?
guys looking for another goal, right? Well, if you look what you have right here, and instead of Act 46, if you write continuous improvement plan, because right now we have one continuous improvement plan that we're all working from. The Rockingham School Board will continue to work with other districts within the NSU to achieve the requirements of our continuous improvement plan.
I like the first part. I don't like tying it to Act 46 or the SIP or,
Right,
it's about students
and
And-
community.
and community and supporting efficiencies and areas of
So
possibilities
we'll work with-
between districts, right?
work with other districts in our SU,
To create opportunities for all students,
create balanced opportunities for all students, or just create opportunities?
Opportunities.
create opportunities
I
Oh.
think that's good, Margot.
or something.
But why couldn't this right here fall under the other goal as,
What was the
as
goal?
communication? I mean, it's not just about, they're part of the community. You could put that as
What was
an
that
action
goal?
step.
Improve community input and engagement.
Boards are part of the, other boards are part of the community. I mean, you could put, instead of creating another goal, you could put this under the communication piece
As an
Yeah.
actionable.
as an action
I
step.
like
Work
it,
with other boards.
I like it as a goal, I think it's
As a
different.
standalone goal that we're
Yeah.
to. So the improved community input engagement, when I think about that, I'm really thinking about the general public and the
In the town of
town of Rockingham.
Right,
And this is communicating outside of our district, outside of the Rockingham.
And that is, yeah, I'm not so much, as we talk about this, my mind doesn't think so much just about communication, but I think about collaboration.
Collaboration.
right. We're very close, I think.
We just need to word it. Rockingham School Board will collaborate with other districts within the WNESU to enhance possibility. I don't. or we just leave it as, we will collaborate with.
Collaborate with
Districts.
other districts in the SU. Yeah, I think what you've been thinking about though, of putting something in there about, somewhat of the intent of that it's,
How do you word it?
Because we'll be helping our students by collaborating and finding efficiencies.
To work
I mean, I think about like the food program, right? That was an amazing opportunity that,
okay, I just had a brain fart, or what's the opposite of a brain fart? A good one.
bright idea.
They will collaborate with the other districts in our supervisory union to the benefit of all students.
Okay,
There, good.
okay, well done.
I think now we've covered all the categories.
Collaborate with all districts in the WNSU to benefit those students, or all students? All students.
So can I make a recommendation that we not leave, like now that we have the goals, we still need the thing under it that gives that.
The actions,
Charge
action
to
step,
us.
the action steps.
So let's not leave it for another 6 months till we,
Well, do we want to work on any of that now? Do we want to set a goal?
I mean, or maybe we take one
Do we
And
want to set a
address
goal of,
at once a month.
so
You know, it's something,
presuming that the three of us are going to be on the board in a month, I know Kristen's going to.
yeah, Kristen definitely will.
Should we make a plan that we set as an agenda item each month,
Yeah,
one of the goals
I think that's the way to do it. That way we can focus.
on what, if we've got the goal set, we can focus on one goal, put some action items on them, and then the next meeting, we can work on. So even if we don't complete everything that we think we want under one goal, if each meeting we
Yeah.
keep working on them to like build them out, and then just when we get to the fifth one, we go back to the first one again and we
Yeah.
explore it and keep updating it and freshening it up.
Mhm.
And it gives the chance the new board to actually come up with the goal, with the action items
Items under there.
underneath the.
No. So I put on,
Well,
under, I'll just put on the agenda, board goal number 1 for the next one, create, and then a bullet, create action steps.
right, so we should,
Or create strategy, whatever term you wanna use.
for George's benefit. This is Rockingham after all, so we've got a pretty good idea the next board is gonna be us three, Priscilla and George.
Who's George?
George Smith,
Okay.
Tammy Nystrom,
Okay.
brother. We're the only people on the ballot.
Okay.
who knows, you never know,
You never know.
maybe I won't get voted for.
Me either. Woo!
But,
So I think for the benefit of the new board on the next agenda, it should be, we should list all of the goals. And then if we, with the reorganizational, that might not be the right one to start
that's true,
working on
No,
them, but at least introduce the four, these are the goals, this is what we're gonna do.
that's a good idea, yeah. Cause you're right, the first meeting in March, when we're all just coming together, is not the best meeting.
Yeah, which will be like the middle of March, in reality,
So
because our
April.
next meeting is, our next
Town
meeting would
meeting.
be town meeting day,
Right,
which I
And
will
then
be
the-
in Florence.
So starting in April, we'll look at,
Starting in April, we would start working on it. So in the third week of March, we'll review them at the reorganizational meeting. And then
yeah,
in April, we'll start working.
yes, good plan.
Sounds like a good plan.
We made a step further.
This was the longest day off I've ever had. So I didn't really end up getting the day off. I had to work today. So, do you want me to read them as I wrote them down? So I did not write the Rockingham School Board for each one.
No,
I wrote Goal 1, continuously improve student achievement. Goal 2, improve community input and engagement. Goal 3, ensure a safe and healthy environment for all staff and students. Goal 4, develop and propose budgets that achieve the greatest educational return to dollars expended. Goal 5 is collaborate with all districts in the WNESU to benefit all students. I think I might have it all in there. I went to a business writing class last week. The big thing they push is using extra and junk words, is to like not do that.
I'm good at doing
So
Can you send me a copy of that? I'll make
Yeah,
sure
no,
it's
I-
on the agenda.
I will share it with you right now. Anybody else want me to share it with them?
Well,
It's,
just-
it's pretty
you put
simple.
it-
It's just like 5
Yeah.
lines.
You can put it in the drive.
It's there, but if I don't share it with you, you can't see it.
Oh, well, sure.
I shared it with you two, Chris, and Josh. It's about as like simple. Mine is about as simple as it could be. But. Well, we completely rewrote what we started with.
In a half hour.
Well, we did and we didn't. I think we were around all those issues.
Yeah.
And we've just simplified and narrowed it.
Do we have any appointments?
You do not.
Wait, you forgot discussion of dates for board interviews.
Oh,
So.
I thought that was a given at this
Okay,
point.
yeah, me too. Okay.
I sent this email out end of last week. And this is a night that we don't, initially I shared with you, March 4th would have been, March 5th would have been good, but realized that was town meeting day and there really wasn't gonna be a board meeting. So looking at the calendar, February 28th, I know was a night that, there weren't any other board meetings that Lynn and I would be attending, and this would be a good night. I've heard back about half the people that said February 28th would work for them. And this is pretty much how I envision it, is that I would have the two candidates come in around 3:45, and Lynn and I would give them a tour of Saxton's River Elementary School. And then between 4 and 5:30, they would rotate between the three different groups of a parent group, a teacher group, and an administrative group.
At Saxon's River?
Yep. And then at 5:45 to 6:30, the board could meet with the first candidate, interview them. And then from 6:20 to 7:05, you would meet and interview the second candidate. And then hopefully at the end of that night, make a decision on which candidate you would like. One, none, you might have, there have been times where I've been part of a process that we've gone back to the drawing board. And then go into executive session.
So are you able to make it?
I am able to make it.
Okay, so all three of
I
us
can
are
make
able
it.
to make it. So we
And
have
this,
a
the
quorum.
whole thing will be at Saxon's River Elementary School.
Yep.
So my only question when I was looking at this was, because the board stuff happens later in the evening,
Mhm.
right? Will we have a chance to get feedback from the parents, teachers, and admin?
Yeah, I will be collecting that, so
Okay.
when you go into executive session, I will be
Then-
there
Okay,
to give you
Because I want to make sure that if we're having them meet all these groups, right,
Yeah.
that we get feedback from those groups.
Yes, you absolutely will have the
Okay.
feedback. Each group would have just, a form that they would fill out and who they prefer out
Okay.
of the two candidates. And I would be following around one candidate, I would have Lynn following the other, and then the two of us would even have more information to give you on how it went.
Okay.
The parent group, they don't necessarily, it's pretty much, any parent who wants to meet the candidate
Right.
would show up in the gym, and they're free to ask questions that they want. And I kind of like that process because as administrators, you got to be on your toes, and usually sometimes they can, it keeps you on your toes. And then the teachers and the admin team would have specific questions. The board might have also specific questions, and I can compile all those. So if there's particular questions you would like to ask, if you want to send them to me, I can put those down for you.
So, with the parent groups and them asking questions, do you prep them in any way for things that they can or cannot ask? Like, just, because there's a lot of, we have a very rigid, like, hiring, interview, training, and all this stuff, because there's things that you can't ask, and where does that line, how does that change when you're, like, have parents and they're asking questions? So are you married? Do you have any kids?
And and that's why Lynn and I would be there with the candidates,
Uh-huh,
and because it'd be, that's when, I give a, pretty much before the candidates come in, I'll say, we can't ask the personal questions, you're married, all that stuff there, but for the most part, I'd be with one candidate, Lynn would be the other, so we had to block any of those questions that are being asked.
yeah. I can just see somebody then getting offended because it's like, you can't really ask that question. So
Will
just-
we, as a board, have some prepared questions or not?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, if there are particular questions that any of you would like for the candidates, you can send them to me. If I don't get any, I will compile, pretty much,
Do we want
any
to,
questions.
do we want to meet a half hour, an hour early? It would be kind of unfortunate for him to not get our questions earlier, but
I will be coming right from New York, and we just
So-
make,
what time should we show up there if we're just showing up for interviews and,
Well, you guys will have the first interview at 5:45, so I would say you want to come in
so
at,
we should be there at 5:30?
yeah.
I won't be able to get there earlier.
But if we show up at 4, we can hang out in like the gym
You
and
could hang out with parent groups.
hang out with
and-
parents and teachers, and just, even if we just kind of hang out in the background to hear and get a vibe for how.
Yeah, you guys are welcome to be part of any of the groups. I'm just trying to make this process as involved as possible with the community, with the teachers, with the board, because I think it's important. And the next principal has some very large shoes to fill, at least in my opinion, so I want to make sure that anyone who wants to be involved in it from the public and the schools have that opportunity.
All right, so I think we're good. We'll have a quorum at least. We should make sure that the other two know about
Luke
it.
said he could make it.
Okay.
Ed said his availability would be more open in April, and I said, well, since you didn't run for a seat. Okay. No appointments today, I don't believe. Director's comments?
I think I'm good, thanks.
I guess I don't really have any agenda items for the next board meeting.
Well, it's the reorganization.
It's the reorganizational meeting, but we should set the date for it.
It says March 18th right here.
That would be the third
That's today.
Monday.
Oh, that's the third Monday, okay.
It's the same.
Right, today's the 18th, that's why I was like,
Yeah,
it
it's
took me a minute.
weird. It's been catching me up all. And then I finally looked at the calendar and like, oh my gosh, it's the same.
And so we're good with that, waiting till the 18th. Would be our regular meeting.
Yeah.
And,
Since we're second at town meeting, you guys could have a meeting before town meeting.
But then we couldn't participate in town meeting.
This is true.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no, because if you met at 5:30, because town meeting doesn't start till 7.
Yeah, you just wanna make it a really long evening on the night you're not there. Don't put that in the notes.
I will warn a meeting for February 28th at 5:30 at Saxon's River because you guys will have a quorum.
Okay.
And, usually, you guys will go right into executive session.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now they want me to come to the village trustees meeting and talk about the fire station.
Tonight?
I've been saying for years that I really don't want to talk about the fire station anymore.
Are we officially adjourned?
Meeting adjourned. Now we are.